Hey, welcome to the Profit Your Knowledge podcast. I'm your host, James Allen. On the show, I like to interview everyday people who've been able to take their knowledge, their skills, and expertise and turn it into an income so that you can learn how to do this yourself. A lot of these people are online, but many of them as well are even doing stuff offline and built amazing businesses. We have an awesome entrepreneur on the show today. This is Thomas Cox. So Thomas is a financial architect and infinite banking strategist. He's also built a very successful seven-figure catering business. And has now transitioned full-time into like real estate, private capital. So he's doing a lot of stuff, and he's been in the game for quite some time, and obviously building a seven-figure business of any kind. I'm sure we can learn some great stuff from Thomas. So we're going to get into his story, lessons learned, things he wishes he knew in the beginning compared to now. And we'll talk about some different ways that you can better manage your money too, because that's a topic very near and dear to Thomas's heart. And obviously you're making money somehow, I'd imagine. So You should learn how to manage it. Let's dive into this. How you doing today, Thomas?
Man, I am great. Thank you so much for having me, James.
Yeah, man, I'm pumped for this. So you built, you're doing a lot of stuff, which is cool, like a whole seven-figure catering business, and now you're getting into some other stuff with financial, assets and helping with your different people and stuff. Can you take it back to the beginning in the story of what made you decide to become an entrepreneur in the first place when you started building this seven-figure catering business, and then? Yeah, how did you even build that thing to seven figures? Let's start there.
That's so funny. So from the time I was 5, I knew what I wanted to do. I wanted to be a college football coach. My dad is a Hall of Fame coach in the state of Alabama, and that's all I wanted to do. So I was not the kid in high school that I'm not real sure. No, I knew I was going to go coach college football, and got to do that for about 10 years. Absolutely loved it. Had a second child, and after that second child, I realized that God had something different for me. Like, I didn't know what it was, but I was super scared. So I quit coaching and started working at a church. Worked at a church. My boss walks in and asks me to help him with a meal plan. Well, here's the thing. I had a degree in football and a master's in football. So I didn't know anything about that world. I did know a little bit about it, but I knew about it because of being immersed in the CrossFit world. So I got really immersed in the CrossFit thing at the grassroots of it. So did that for a while and learned a lot about food. So started doing meal plans for people. Did meal plan for my boss, and honestly, the domino effect went from there. And started my own business, working at a church. So started doing meal plans for people. Fast forward, we did thousands and thousands of meal plans for people in 27 different countries. Now, this is before you could find a meal plan in 30 seconds that's super customized just to James. Okay. So we did that for a while, and then parlayed that into meal prep before meal prep was a big thing. And then parlayed that into catering. Figured out in our business that I wanted to have more than one thing in the food business. So we had catering, we had meal prep, we had the plans. And honestly, throughout the whole food journey, we've done that a bunch of different ways. So we transitioned, got out of meal planning. All that being said, fast forward, we moved to Birmingham. We started doing food for a small college. So for about 8 or 10 years now, I was very immersed in food and growing that business. I lived really frugally, kept putting money back in the business, while all the time I was taking profits from the food business and investing in the market and investing in real estate. Started doing that a little bit at a time, because all my friends that own their own business, they bought real estate. And I was like, well, this must be the thing to do. Transitioned that. We moved to Birmingham from Tennessee, moved to Birmingham. We started another catering company. So you have the everyday catering company, which I like to call the Toyota. Toyota's great. It's for every day, getting back and forth to work. And then you have Lexus. James, they're made in the same factory. It's the same car. It's just a different logo. And so we have a higher end catering brand, and we have a normal everyday catering brand. And we've gotten those two catering brands where we're catering everything from an everyday lunch to, $200 or $300 a plate meals for different people all over the state of Alabama. That's the entrepreneurial business owner part of who I am and how that part got started. About 4 years ago, my kids started getting older. I've got 3 now. And I decided that I needed to be with them more and spend more time with them. So I overhired. So instead of putting my foot on the gas and continue to work 75, 80 hours a week, I took a step back and overhired so that I didn't have to be at every event, do all that stuff. It was the best decision I ever made. And I did it for my kids so that I wouldn't have to work as much. I made less money, but I didn't have to work as much. Well, that's when I really got involved more in the investing, real estate, and infinite banking, in the, I guess, just finance in general. I like food a lot, but I love business more than I like anything. And so that's the quick snapshot of our journey.
Yeah, that's really cool, man. Do you still do CrossFit?
No.
No, you're all done with it. I did a CrossFit workout this morning.
Yeah.
Like 12 years strong with it, but that's really cool.
We got really involved with that. And to be honest with you, we competed at a pretty high level for many, many years.
Yeah.
I lived in Cookeville, Tennessee,
Okay.
which is kind of the center of it. I got to train with a guy named Rich Froning, and he was my training partner for about, I don't know, 5 years. And so really loved that community, and CrossFit did a lot for me, to be honest with you. And, but I'm 45. And I just got to the point where I was just like, I'm good. I just want to live.
I get it. So, little side note, I was just curious, but that's really cool, man. So yeah, I mean, just to build any business to 7 figures, like that takes a lot, a lot of grit, a lot of, I'm sure doubts that you had along the way, or like hiring people, outsourcing, handing off tasks, like all that kind of stuff. And I think like, no matter what you end up pursuing after that, just being able to develop that mindset for you, I'm just curious, being like a 7-figure entrepreneur, what do you think it really took to go from like 6 figures to 7 figures? Was there anything distinct that popped out to you?
Saying no to things that don't make sense for your company. So Hormozy talks about it a lot of times with the price point stuff, being able to say no to someone. If your price point is 10 and someone wants to pay 7, you just have to look at them and say, hey, no, this is the value that we bring. This is what we charge. So not lowering ourselves to those standards was a huge thing. So we told a lot of people no in that middle ground. We told a lot of people yes to start. And then as we started growing, we had to tell a lot of people no. So you tell everybody yes to start, and then you start telling people no when they don't want to pay the price that you're worth. That would be the first thing that I felt like helped put us over the edge. And the next thing what I would say was being very specific with hires. Like, you got to hire great people as opposed to being super specific with the job thing, because your business is going to be more unique than just about anything everybody else's. We can say they're all the same, but they're not. But hiring great humans that understand what they have to do and be very, very efficient at it. So you're going to be at a stage in the beginning part of your business where James is going to have to do a lot of different things, and Sierra is going to have to do a lot of different things. But as you grow, you need more specificity in your business. So like, for example, in our catering company, I did so many different jobs to start off. And then Sierra Sierra's my assistant. Sierra did so many different jobs. So we got to a point where like, okay, we're both working our face in the dirt. What do we need? The first thing was I hired a food person that could run the actual day-to-day part of the kitchen, order the food, come up with the menus, all that stuff. Then we also hired a person just to do catering. She doesn't do food. She doesn't do payroll. She doesn't do anything she just handles events. Well, at that point, everything that we did grew because my capacity was larger to sell, to do whatever it is, and Sierra's was too. So being able to hire the specifics as you get bigger are a massive, massive key that unlocks kind of, I hate to say the next level because it's so overused, but kind of the next step.
But it is true.
It is so true. Yeah.
Yeah. Cliche, but true. And that's why it's cliche. So, cool, man. Well, yeah. And you've been in business for a long time, and now you're doing something very different nowadays, which we'll get into. But as you've gained more experience in building a successful business and multiple successful business, what do you think has become more important to you to reaching those kind of numbers that a lot of people only dream of, and why? Why has that become more important to you?
Say that, repeat the question again. I'm sorry.
So basically, as you've gained more experience in just building a successful businesses, what has become more important to you and why?
The time that I have as a business owner, being able to do the things that I need to work on. Like having the time to, this again, so cliche, but it's so cliche because it's so true, is like working on the business. Like I'm the one that has to hire people. I'm the one that can do those things. I'm the one that has to have the vision of saying, okay, this is where I think we need to go next. Have I been wrong? Yeah, I've been wrong, but like I'm still the head of the snake. So I'm the one that has to follow. So like being able to say, okay, this is where we need to go next. Being able to do that instead of having to be in the day-to-day is so important, so incredibly important. And that's that's a massive, massive thing for all that we're doing.
Absolutely. And I mean, I've experienced that more. My business, I would not say is as big as yours. I haven't hit seven figures in my business. But you know, I do well for myself and I provide for the people I love, and I have autonomy's been a big thing. I care more about just like being able to travel and still make money and stuff and like cover my expenses and take care of the people I love. Like, you know, obviously I'd love to hit seven figures in a year, of course. But like I went to Sweden in June of this year, and I made like 10 grand while I was away with like passive income. I didn't do any work while I was gone for 2 weeks. I was paying for hotels, for our rental car, dinners, just with my family, you know? And like, that was a huge win for me because that was a dream of mine 5 years ago. And now I'm like, I got to do that. That's freaking awesome.
But here's the thing. Like, just because we've made seven figures in our business, the biggest thing that we have to stay away from is comparing ourselves. Like, you are absolutely killing it. Congratulations. You are doing the thing. So you're probably in the 1% of the world.
Crazy.
It doesn't matter how much the income is. You have adapted your lifestyle to happiness and freedom and things like that. That's it. That is it. And where we get in trouble is, well, I haven't hit this yet. I heard an analogy the other day, and the guy's like, you know, when you start comparing yourself to other people, you start to realize how unhappy you are. Well, before I looked at John over there and was making this much money and doing this much stuff, I was happy. Well, then I looked at him and I realized, oh, well, I'm not there yet. Who cares? Who cares? You set your goal. Now, the goal's always going to move. The goalpost is always going to move, but that's probably because you're a competitor and you want to continue to do better. But like being able to look at Susie or Johnny and go, I'm not there yet. I'm not happy. No, you are doing great. Continue to do great in what you're doing.
Yeah, I really appreciate that, man. Because, you know, in online business and this, like, it can get kind of lonely. I have my VA, which is what I was ultimately leading to, and he's awesome. And it's just, but that's another like huge win for me is being able to provide a career for someone. He bought himself a Vespa. He lives in the Philippines because it's easier to navigate than a car. Yeah. And he sent me like videos and pictures of him being like, I got my ride. And he was like so pumped. And I'm like, I literally provided him a career and like gave him a job, you know, which is super cool. And he's taken so much off of my plate, but that's helped me work fewer hours, you know, and delegating things. And that's been like a grown up move for me because I did everything myself for a long time. And now if I edit a video, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is why I outsource this. Because sometimes it's faster for me just to edit something really quick. I usually do like short stuff, but so crazy. But anyway, so you're, I mean, you've been able to monetize this like expertise and this experience with like meal prepping and turning it into your seven-figure catering business. But now you're making a new transition because that's just kind of like you've been able to succeed in the sense where you work like 5 hours a week or something on this business. Like that's awesome.
That's great.
Because you've got it to that point, but now you're pursuing something new, which is very different. And this is like the infinite banking, being a financial architect, that kind of stuff. How did that part kind of evolve where like you started monetizing this knowledge, and you don't monetize it in the sense where you're like, I hired you to be my coach to coach me through this, but you monetize in other ways. So what made you make that transition into this stuff? And then how have you been able to generate an income with this?
I heard a guy say this one time. He said he takes the profits from the business that makes him money, and he takes that profit and he puts that profit into other things that can help that thing generate more money. So we took our profits from our food businesses and put them into real estate. And real estate, I mean, we bought multifamily apartments and things like that. So we're taking our money and doing that elsewhere. Then I got introduced to the world of private lending and infinite banking. So those two things, James, are a massive lever in the wealth creation world. So figuring out how to use, because a lot of times, like we've been through a market in the real estate market where it's just not been a great time to buy. It's just not. Like I've been looking, and it's not a really good time. So where to kind of deploy the excess money that we've made in order to make more money? Because it doesn't need to just sit there. So we started looking into, I found out about infinite banking through a friend of mine who has been doing it for years here in Birmingham. And so I started to understand what infinite banking is and how I can create that storehouse for our money and then take that money and use it to create more income through investments and just anything like that. So it's not an investment tool, but it's a warehouse. It's a savings tool that we can keep our money in that continues to grow even when we borrow against it and use it. So it's a fascinating tool. a little bit complicated and not really mainstream. But what it does is it gives us so much more financially to go and do the things that we need to do. And it's been a huge blessing to us, but then also teaching it to people and teaching people how to do it has been a great thing as well.
Yeah. And tell me that kind of part. Cause the people who listen to this show, a lot of them really want to like educate people in some way and turn that into an income, because it's like, that's the dream career. And a lot of people get into this and they think it's going to be super easy, but it's not, because it's still a business. And like, it took me years until I could make six figures personally. Yeah. And I thought it was going to be easy. I was like, first year, no problem. Cause I went to a good certification, all that, but like, it's a business. It requires work. For you, what kind of got you to the point where you were teaching this stuff? Because I'm sure you were making it work for yourself. And then were people coming out being like, hey, like, how do you do this? Or tell me the story there.
I started using it myself in everyday life. This is the typical pattern you see in all this stuff. So I started using infinite banking in my everyday life. And then I told a friend about it. And I was like, hey, this is what I'm doing. And I was zero sales pitch. And I was just telling, this is what I'm doing. I'm doing infinite banking. I buy, this cash value whole life insurance. We store extra money in there. When we store extra money in there, we can pull the money out and use it for whatever we want to. But it's just a place that keeps growing. The money keeps growing and has uninterrupted compounding interest. And he's like, well, explain it to me. So I started explaining it. But as I started to explain it, there were gaps because I wasn't used to explaining it, if that makes any sense. So I took him to my mentor. And I was like, hey, tell him about this. Like, I want to bring him in because I think this would be good for him. So he comes in and he starts doing it himself. My friend Justin tells my other friend Kendall about it. He leaves and then Justin walks in and says, hey, you really understand this and understand how to do this. All you've got to do is go get your license and you can start teaching this to people and keep telling people how to use it and helping them. I was like, what? Really? And so I started doing that. And then I started realizing the power of like teaching people how to use it, but then also walking them through that process and being there with them. And number one, it's been freeing to them and helping them. It opens people's eyes. And then number two, it creates an income for me, which is magical.
Yeah. And how does it create the income for you? So you're teaching these people, but you're not charging them for like coaching or anything. So how do you end up getting paid from teaching these people?
So it's kind of like being, I'm not a financial advisor, but it's kind of like being a financial advisor in a certain way. So like James comes to me, you come to me and say, hey, tell me more about infinite banking. What is the process? We walk through the process, and then there's obviously a third party that has to do these insurance policies. So we say, okay, we're going to do a policy for James, and James is going to write this policy with this company. This company writes the policy, and then the company pays me for getting you there. So it's honestly like it's insurance. It's just like an insurance broker of any kind. Insurance is so much more of the tertiary benefit of what infinite banking does. It's more of it is a cash flow system that you use money in and out of this policy. And teaching you how to do that properly is the service part. Getting you set up and getting you that in essence, like getting you this account is where the insurance says, hey, thanks for doing this. We're going to give you some money for helping him do this. And so that's how I make money doing that.
Yeah, that's really cool. Yeah, there's so many ways you can monetize knowledge. It's not just through like coaching, though it's a great way. I mean, people pay you to teach them something. Sure. There's like done for you service. There was a guy who I had on the show. I just talked about him the other day. Oh my gosh, I can't remember his name, but he has a really good YouTube channel, and it's all about talking about retiring in South Carolina, of all things. And I was like, are you selling like courses? He's like, I have a book. And I'm like, that's really cool. But the real money that he makes is that he makes these videos on how to retire in South Carolina. He talks about the different like regions of South Carolina and, you like which places are best for whatever you're going for, and just like the tour of the different city and stuff like that. And that's all his channel's about. And then people reach out to him and he sits on a call with them, and then he gets them in touch if they're serious about buying in South Carolina and retiring there, gets them in touch with the realtors in South Carolina, and then they sell the house and then give him a commission.
Love it.
I was like, this is amazing. Like, what a great way to monetize your knowledge, So I just find it fascinating.
We can create income doing just about anything. Now, here's the key. It's just like podcasting. I heard this, and this stat may have changed. This is about a year ago. If you do more than 10 episodes of a podcast, you're in the top 10% of the world. Because so many people are like, I want to start a podcast. And they do 10 episodes, 5 episodes. They're like, this is hard. Like what we're doing now, because you have a podcast and then I have a podcast as well. It's not easy. You have to be consistent and diligent with it. And if you're not, it's really not going to work.
Yeah, and that's anything. I mean, Alex Hormozi's so big on that, and I love his brutal honesty. But it's just like Brendan Burchard was big on that Just like that, you're going to suck. So embrace the suck until you get good and just keep doing it. Yeah. I have clients where I'm like teaching them how to make like YouTube videos or content and stuff. And they're a lot of them will be very new and they're like, but James, like, you're so good. And I'm like, yeah, well, I've been doing it for like over 6 years, every day.
Every day.
Every freaking day I'm making something. So yeah, I get better over time. But no, that's awesome, man. I love the way that you're being able to like still educate people, share this knowledge and experience that you have and get paid for it. And like, that's the dream, kind of shifting gears a little bit, getting a little bit more tactical on before we close out here. You help people to, better manage and grow their money in their business. And, you typically work with businesses who are, let's say, like above a 6-figure income, which is totally fine. But what advice would you give to the person listening, even if they were very new, and maybe you could do one or the other if someone's like over 6 figures or someone's under, to better manage and grow their money for their business and like be a responsible business owner with their money?
I think I can talk to both of them at the same time. Number one is you have to create margin. If you are running your business to where, as the old saying goes, robbing Peter to pay Paul, meaning you're using profits from one place to pay the bills in another, you're never going to be successful. So creating margin in anything that you're doing is absolutely critical. And I'll give you a really, really quick, easy example. We have different, this is so, if you're a business owner and you've not read the book Profit First by Mike Malkowitz, it is absolutely great. It's a great thing to follow as far as just running your business. And it talks about just different bank accounts and moving money around on a weekly or monthly basis. So, for example, we do these big events where it's weddings and events. And like we're already doing stuff in October of 2026. We've already got deposits for those dates. So when those monies come in, we take that money, we get it tomorrow. I move that money into an account so that it stays in this account so that when that event comes, I can pay us all for that event instead of using that $5,000 that came in today to pay the bills for today, even though that money's not going to be spent until October. Does that make sense? So keeping margin in our business is absolutely critical because we never know when the day is going to come. How many businesses went out of business because of COVID? They didn't have the money. They didn't have an excess. They didn't have a storehouse in order to take from when that negative and bad time hit. If you don't have margin in your life financially, just in the financial part, you're going to have a hard time making it. No matter how big your balance sheet is, no matter how big your income is, if there's not some margin in there, it's going to be a hard time to really create a lot of success.
So no, I love that. And for the listener, if they're like, yeah, I do kind of make the money, and then like, how would you recommend to create margin? Like, what have you guys done with your business to have healthy finances and like also leverage the money to help you grow? Because I'm sure people listening are like, oh man, it'd be great to like be at a point where I have excess cash where I can get into real estate and start like playing with that and exploring that. So yeah, what have you done?
The handful of things that we've done is we've created every dollar that comes in, we will take a portion of that dollar and we will allocate some for other investments. Okay. That's the first thing. The next thing is always allocate money for your taxes, your income tax and your sales tax. And that sounds like really, really simple. Oh yeah, I do, Thomas. Well, you probably don't, because when the income tax bill comes and it's $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 more than you thought, then you have to drain another account in order to pay that. So I am a huge advocate of allocating all of your expenses so that you're not shocked by something that comes up. Like I said, we take a portion of all of our profit and we allocate it for other outside investments. We were making gross $10,000, between $10,000 and $15,000 a month in our catering business. We were still taking a small portion and allocating it into another account because I knew that I wanted to buy real estate. 1%, James, 1%. We were taking 1% of like $10,000 a month. And $10,000 a month sounds like a lot, but it's not when it's a gross number, meaning you hadn't paid anybody, you hadn't paid for food, you hadn't paid for anything. So we were just taking these small chunks. And then as you get better and you get more efficient in what you're doing, you can, hey, I'm gonna do 2% now. I'm gonna start doing 2%. And we just silo that money until we can go buy something, go invest that money. But understand this, it takes so much time and so much effort. And the biggest key is this: saying no. You have to be able to say no to those things that are extenuating outside of your world that like, it's kind of like a drug dealer in high school. You got this kid that's always trying to push bad stuff on you. You being able to say no to that kid, it's the same thing when we get to be adults. It's just different things at this point. We got to be able to say no to the shiny object. Shiny object syndrome, when you start making any money at all, James, is the death of a small business. When you think, I've made a little more money, I need a bigger TV. I made a little more money, I need a nicer car. I made a little more money, I can take this fancy vacation. Those things suck us dry as business owners. And being able to say no to those things so that we can create more income will allow us to do those things at a later date. But no one really wants, delayed gratification anymore. No one wants to say no today because they got it. I can see the money in my account. I can see it in my account. I see if I don't, I have to know that all of that money in that account has got to go to different places in order for us to be profitable. But if you see that number in the account and you go spend it, I mean, it's a disaster. And honestly, James, that's why most small businesses don't make it, because having the inability to say no to those things that are right in front of them.
Yeah. It's really easy, especially when you start growing your income, to be like, oh, now it's time to get this, or like buy this other thing I've wanted. My big thing is like experiences and vacations, which I love. And, but I just made a point to like, let's go somewhere to a new country every year, for like an extended trip. We go on small trips too, but like, I'm not a clothes guy. Some people are like all about like Louis Vuitton and stuff like that. I'm like, I get some basic black t-shirts and pants. I'll shop at Ross. Like, I don't care. I really couldn't care less about what I'm wearing as long as I look okay, but right. Like, no, it's funny, but everybody, spends money in their own way. I love Ramit Sethi. He has a great book. I Will Teach You to Be Rich. If you haven't read it, it's awesome. Yeah. But he talks about like, if you're covering all your bases with your income, where like you're saving, you're investing your money, and like you're doing all the things right. Like you're paying for all your basic like expenses and all that kind of stuff. And then you have some extra money left over. That's basically like he calls it guilt-free spending. But you can do whatever you want. He shares stories about people who have taken care of all their bases, like they're solid. And then they have this extra money that they can spend on whatever. And some people love shoes and they buy like $100,000 worth of shoes every year, but it's because they have that money. And people are like, you're insane. What are you doing? And they're like, I can do this because it's my guilt-free money. Like, and that's what I like spending money on. And he's like, I love it because they're taking care of their other stuff. So this is awesome. And then infinite banking, obviously there's a whole world to that. And that's like, at what point would somebody even consider getting into infinite banking? I guess would be kind of my next question.
That's a great question. So there are three types of people that really thrive on infinite banking. Number one is a business owner of any kind. So you don't have to be making like truckloads of money as a business owner in order to get involved in infinite banking, because what business owners use, they use part of their the business money, their business funds in order to fund these policies. That's number one. Number two are investors. Anybody's doing house flipping, investing in real estate, things like that. Infinite banking is tailor-made for those people, and we can start at a small amount. And the third person, I say from a W-2 standpoint, would be anybody that's in that upper W-2 income. And I'm going to say this number, and this is not an exact number, but if you're W-2 and you're at $250,000 or more in income, then it's something you could look at. What is the smallest number? I don't think that's the best question. I think the best question is, what can I afford to save on a consistent basis that I know that I'm going to put to use? We've done policies for $250,000 a year. Somebody's putting $250,000 a year in this warehouse. And then we've done some for $30,000 a year. So the range is in there. The question is what am I going to put into this policy or into an infinite banking policy that is going to grow and benefit me and have some velocity? If you're 40 years old, you're doing a $15,000 a year policy. Is it fine? Yeah, it's fine. It's better than nothing. But at that point, you're going to need to invest more into that. Okay. I will give you a great example. I've got a 9-year-old. My 9-year-old has a policy. I started a policy on her. It's $12,000 a year. One of the things I like to talk about and like to encourage people on, if you own your own business, having a policy on your kids that you can pay through your business, because the IRS allows us to pay our kids up to $15,000 a year and it be income tax free. So all three of my kids have a policy. We pay through our business. That money funnels into an infinite banking policy that we are going to leverage and use all throughout their life. And when they turn a certain age, where that age we think they're responsible enough, we will turn that policy over to them and they'll have a head start. These kids, it'll be a cash value of about $225,000 per kid when they're age 25. So having $220,000 a year at 25 is something I didn't have, probably something you didn't have.
Definitely not.
So being able to have that and leverage that for whatever it is that we need to do with them, whether it be a new house, whether it be starting a business, whether it be an investment, whatever, it's a huge stepping stone in the right direction for our kids.
That's awesome. Okay, cool. Well, we're going to start to land this plane, Thomas, but where can people learn more about you, the infinite banking stuff, and get in touch with you if they want?
Getting in touch with me is pretty easy. It's thomascox.co. It's .co, not .com. thomascox.co is our website. You can get in touch with me there. We've got a starter infinite banking, 3 videos. A lot of people don't like to read. They watch 3 videos. If you watch 3 videos, you can learn about infinite banking, have a good knowledge of it. And I'll send you that link. It's thomascox.co/IBC. And but I'll send you that link, James. You can put it in show notes or wherever it is you want to put it, and we'll get that to people. But it's a starter kit. It gets you involved in understanding what infinite banking is. If you can sit and watch 35 minutes of videos and 3 different videos, you can have a really, really good understanding at the end of that time.
Awesome. Well, I got the link pulled up, so we'll make sure we get that down in the show notes. Thomas, before we close out here, based on your career as an entrepreneur and business owner thus far, what's something you wish someone would have told you early on that would have helped you be a better business owner?
When I was 33, I was getting out of coaching college football. I looked at my dad, who was a high school coach for 30 plus years. And I said, I don't really know if I can do anything else. It's all I've ever done. And he looked at me and he said, son, you can do anything you wanted to do. That was an encouraging piece, number one. The next thing I would say that I wish I would have learned earlier would be that in the investing world, you just have to shut your eyes and keep on going. Just keep on going. Investing in financially is a game that is never ending. Okay. It's a never ending game. But if you're always wanting to check and look and pull out, just keep going. Just keep investing. Just keep investing. No matter how much, it's going to add up. It's going to keep adding up. Started investing when I was 18 years old, $25 a month. When I had more, I'd invest more. If I didn't have more, but I always gave some. The consistency in investing is something I wish I would have learned a little bit earlier in time.
Love it. Awesome. Well, thanks for being on the show, Thomas. For the listener, I hope you got value from today. And if you want to learn more about infinite banking, we got the 3-part mini series. I'm going to link down in the show notes, or you can just go check out thomascox.co, not .com. He's got a YouTube channel, tons of different resources and things to help you better manage your money and grow as well. I hope you feel inspired, but more importantly, you do something with this information or the thing that inspired you, whether that was something that Thomas said, maybe something I said, or a story, whatever it was. But please do something. Implementation is your only superpower. So take what you learned here, get out there, make something happen. We will see you in the next one.